gas magazine, engine exhaust, coolant fluid, and sensors who haven't bathed in a week. Let's get out of this stink. Whatever the rest of Dромунд Каас is like, the air has gotta be fresher than in here.
I would have figured you'd been to Dромунд Каас before.
Braden and I moved around a lot when we first got together, but we never made it here. Keep in mind, Imperials aren't fond of aliens. Step out of line and they'll notice. If we tweak the local authorities, they can make life really hard.
I like tweaking with authority.
How did I know you were gonna say that? Come on, the Mandalorian Enclave is in the Citadel. Our contact is someone named Chris DeMarcon.
Care to take a look at our ordnance? For the Empire. Care to take a look at our ordnance? The Empire.
Sidekick Buster. not just a pretty sidekick, Buster.
Please use all products only as intended. Be well.
To end the slave uprising on Dромунд Каас.
I wasn't aware there was a slave revolt going on.
Very soon there won't be. You can assist me in ending it. The situation is this. A Sith Lord was constructing a statue of himself in the jungle. His slaves revolted and armed themselves. Colossus remains unfinished, and well-armed slaves now control the jungle. An embarrassment for the Empire, but an opportunity.
Sounds like the perfect opportunity to tame the slave population.
Slave girls will be a byproduct of my plan, but not the focus. I'm testing a toxic weapon, a poison called Quell. Its victims experience a prolonged state of agonizing pain before finally dying. Victims' allies are so horrified by Quell's effects they lose their wills to resist. At least that's what I intend to prove.
That's a goal worth it.
Yes, cowing the masses is a complex art. It requires a great deal of fine-tuning. I need someone to infuse and control the amount of Quell into the slave's water supply, so that I can determine the proper dosage. If work is dangerous, there will be armed slaves everywhere. Your success will be rewarded. What do you say? recommend the correct dosage of quail. See him at the research tent.
Drow's tastes, which unfortunately I do. He sent me for the quail toxin.
I'm helping him put down the slave revolt.
Do you truly understand what he's asked you to do? What if I told you this experiment is pointless? That past studies have shown increased suffering has no impact on the speed of suffering? This has nothing to do with acceptance of Lord Drow simply takes perverse thrill in gratuitous suffering.
See the issue.
It's a matter of efficiency. There's no good reason why our mission here must be prolonged. I want this to slow over. The faster this rebellion ends, the faster I'll be reassigned to my serving Lord Drow's bloodlust has stunted my career. If not for his inefficiency, I'd be a captain by now.
You're mighty proud of yourself, aren't you?
I know my potential, just as I know who's holding me back from achieving it. Lord Drow's dosage of quail toxin will have slaves writhing in agony for pointless weeks, during which this area will remain volatile. I've prepared a dose that will kill the slaves efficiently, which is better for the Empire and for me. Will you deliver my dosage instead?
These renegade slaves to pay for disobeying the Empire.
Not merely prolonging the slaves' agony, but my own as well. Committed to your work, aren't you? Very well. Take the quail toxin and inject it into the slave camp's water filtration systems. See Lord Drow for your
They're like animals. Hundreds of slaves with no one to command them and without a thought in their minds as to what to do with their freedom. Like I said, the slaves are animals. But we've noticed strange behavior in the pack. And my superiors want to know more. Some of the slaves are killing each other. We don't know if they're mad or hungry, desperate, or if there's a faction of slaves who've turned on the rest.
You've been observing them. Give me your best guess.
I don't really know. Who can fathom the mind of a slave? We know that the killings are ritualistic. The murderous slaves come in the night, stab their foes and paint themselves in blood. If you could investigate, catch them in the act and take them down, maybe you could find a clue to their motives.
Never thought I'd take a bounty on a killer slave.
I never thought I'd see slaves run free on Dромунд Каас. But that's why we need this information, so we can crush them quickly and completely. Look for any slave who's turned on his peers. With luck, he'll lead us to answers.
are not the initiate, but you're strong to have killed so many. You honor us. Welcome to our prison.
What's this? Are you the one behind the killings?
I am Traga Unvor, leader of the Unchained. I am master of my hatred. When the other slaves broke free, I laughed. Like you, I knew their escape was a delusion, for only Sith possess true freedom.
Freedom's what you make of it.
I know the Sith code. Freedom comes through power, through victory. I saw a chance to prove myself. I culled weak from strong. I began to kill and to teach. I showed slaves freedom through bloodshed. Now my followers and I are the masters here. And soon, we will become Sith ourselves.
Murdering your fellow slaves doesn't make you Sith.
We are hateful. We are powerful. We are free. In this way, we are already Sith. Now you can spread word of us to the Empire. Your strength is great. With your approval, we shall serve. Carry our message of allegiance to your masters, and we will become the new face of the Empire. We will be champions of the dark side. As it should be. Take this data pack. I give it to the Sith Lords. Now, I'm not ready to leave the Colossus. With every kill, I feel my power grow. There are many slaves who will join me. But soon, we will all be ready. We will await word from the Empire.
You sure you don't
You underestimate us. You will see us. Farewell for now. We return to the shadows.
Just had to put my mind to it. not just a pretty sidekick, Buster.
It's good to see you back. I knew those slaves couldn't hold their own against you. I take it you managed to track down one of the murderers. What's their story? Can we use them?
Here, your answer's on this data pad.
This is madness. They're serious. Slaves who think they can become Sith.
Doesn't seem any sicker than the rest of the Empire.
What's your tongue, bounty hunter? I'll inform command. I'm not actually authorized to speak with the Sith Lords on the blockade, but I'll make sure they know too. It's been an honor working with you. I hope we meet again.
Killing slaves and causing a fuss. How'd you like to make a pile of credits?
Nothing beats a stack of credits.
That's what I like to hear. Let me give you the lowdown. So Darth Valron is on the Dark Council and his apprentice Lord Ket wants to advance, so he starts building a giant statue to his master. But Lord Ket doesn't want his master to know, so he brings in slaves from all worlds. Slaves from down. Get this mess.
I assume you weren't hired to tell tourists the fascinating tale of the slave rebellion.
Here's where it gets complicated. Lord Ket wants to save face, but secret. He calls in me and my mercs. By the time we get here, the slaves have captured some giant industrial drills and they're getting ready to bring down the whole giant statue. Our best team goes in with explosives to blow up the drills. Slaves kill every last one. I got a pile of credits for anyone who grabs those explosives, hooks them to a giant drill, then fights off slaves until the explosives detonate.
Pretty sidekick, Buster.
credits, as promised.
Buster. gonna get it now.
You delivered the exact results I hoped for. Quell is like an imbibed torture device infesting those rebel slaves. It's exhilarating to see the effects on the survivors who can only stand by and watch helplessly.
I'm glad to see you're so happy.
Quell toxin will be a great asset to the Empire. Uprisings will end painfully and decisively. You've earned your reward, my friend. Now go. I have horror and despair to observe and chronicle.
Okay, thanks. Aw, you shouldn't have.
Changa waning tinkuspa inegudae. Aka noya choski noyo kochuso te mate chichoya. Kili baklunki na atapumpa pushuda.
You lost me.
Aka noya choski noyo kochuso te mate chichoya. Chubolo awona kopotonte tak makechisa. Kiko ubakili pata bunga dunko putoga wata.
Now comes the fun part.
Tabachi utakuga huta, tabumba ula. Umbi utamala, petwana nibochi chichupa kumba. Tukuda no pajunki. Paguta jiuta bukise.
You got yourself a deal.
Chiholukuta chubu ikatsufu undole. Pagupagi wanta humpa, uli rabamba wula.
Please use all products only as intended. Be well.
say you're the casino?
be able to prove Lord Gratham was behind the transmissions that allowed her invasion, but it doesn't matter. Everyone who matters knows the truth. And Gratham is already losing influence and followers.
That's nice. Hey, thanks. get it now.
products only as intended. Be well. Require medical attention. Be well.
separate expeditions into the Dark Temple. Not one has returned. I can't say for sure what's going on. People were going there, they don't come back.
Here I thought bravery was a requirement for the Imperial military.
Maybe if you think being scared of something that kills Sith is unreasonable. You can survive the Dark Temple. I beg you to do me, and more importantly, the Empire a favor. The expeditions I sent in were looking for specific data. I can spare the manpower, they were slaves mostly, but the data is essential.
Where do I come in?
I'd like you to find the slaves from the expeditions and bring back any data you recover. The slaves from the expeditions were equipped with data pads to store the data they collected. Bring back those data pads. This information's vital to future construction on Dромунд Каас. It's not glamorous, but will you help?
I wouldn't call it a challenge, but it seems straightforward.
Amazing. Fantastic. Your help is invaluable. I'll mark the location the expedition last signaled from on your map. It's the best I can do.
You mercenary, you were let through. Has someone finally decided to secure the temple?
I'm not here to secure the temple.
Of course, I've been ignored again. How stupid of me. If you're here, however, you must have the authority to enter the Dark Temple. You could still save this planet.
What are you babbling about, old man?
You're a brave one, aren't you? Or is it that you sense my weakness? But not everything grows weaker with age. The Dark Temple is ancient, built during a previous incarnation of our empire. 1,000 years ago, our own emperor buried his enemies here. These enemies remain powerful, even in death, which is why the temple was sealed. But now, something terrible has happened.
Why bury the enemies of the Emperor with honor?
To appease them if they were to wake, of course. With the Emperor's attention elsewhere, a group of ambitious but ignorant Sith thought to gain power by raiding the temple. They didn't find the relics they sought. Instead, they awoke an ancient Sith Lord, Lord Calig, and their expedition plunged into madness.
What was this expedition? How many people were lost?
At least 100. Simple Sith, slaves, soldiers, experts. All stupid. Because Lord Calig died by ambush, I believe he awakened unaware of his own death, and his expectations became reality. For those around him, his power overwhelmed all inside the temple. Even now the workers plot wars against each other, believing themselves Sith Lords, and drawing terrible power from Calig himself.
Where do I come?
I care not about the fighting itself, only what it may cause. There are still more ancient Sith Lords whose spirits lay dormant in the temple. If the ancient Sith Lords awoken by the violence within, they could overrun Dромунд Каас. They're not going to be saved by optimism. They have studied all of the burial chambers within. Each was made with the same ancient design, one they can exploit. If you fuse the 500-kilogram hinges on each tomb door, even a violent assault should not be able to wake the ancients.
No one will be left standing.
That will not stop the next group of idiots from putting us right back in this situation. The team I sent in earlier was using a massive metal torch. Effective, but slow, I'm afraid. They did not make it far. The torch must be recovered, and the doors of the ancients sealed.
a little late mentioning this, but I'm getting some seriously creepy signals out here. I really don't think we should go in there.
Products only as intended. Be well.
Aw, you shouldn't have.
Hello, stranger. My internal chronometer tells me it has been exactly 963 years since this hologram was made. Have the Sith truly lived in fear of me for so long?
Why should the Sith fear you?
It is what the Sith do. Their passions, their fear especially, feed their power. A power that inspires yet more fear. So many before me, I challenged the Emperor and was buried in this temple. I had just enough time to make this, and interacting and it to transmit my secrets to whoever will help me have to find my tomb and unlock it.
Unlock your tomb. So start transmitting.
Patience, and everything will become clear. The way of the Sith lies in channeling the Force through the use of powerful emotions. Fear is the chief of these. The Sith feed on palpable dread.
What's the secret then?
It's a lie. Fear is a lie. Passion, a lie. Fear is a temporary power, and passion is easily manipulated. Real strength in the Force comes when one is no longer afraid. One can purge fear when one stops grasping after power, after things, after life itself, and allows the Force to guide him. There is only the Force.
It's nothing like the Sith philosophy I've heard about.
Sith philosophy claims to break its followers' chains, but instead traps them in their own fear. What I learn only lives on through this image and its device. Yet I am one with the Force, eternal and at peace. Take my teachings to the Sith. They will find power there, but a different kind. Not of darkness, but light.
The world must know what you learned.
The Sith should know fear is not the only way. As for me, my message is concluded. I will now depart.
approach the great Nil Venerus, Lord of the Sith, Master of the Undying Darkness? Answer me. What insolence brings you to this place, slave?
I'm the one holding the blaster here.
You're not afraid of me. You aren't a mindless puppet like the rest of them. I don't understand.
Of course I'm not a puppet.
Then whatever it is that's doing this is losing its hold. I was part of an expedition sent by the Empire to measure strange activity in the Dark Temple. But soon after we entered, we all became different people. I became the mighty Lord Venerus, and the others became my obedient followers and servants.
You seem normal enough now.
Yes, for some reason the madness no longer has its hold on me. Like whatever's causing this dream is losing its power. It's strange that you seem to be unaffected. In fact, it's strange to find you here at all. I thought the Imperials gave up sending people in here. What exactly are you doing here?
The Imperials want data. I'm gonna get it for them.
So the Imperials haven't given up on getting their precious data after all. This is lucky. You see, ever since I came to my senses, I've been worried that my followers will begin to doubt my leadership. I can't lose my power. I can't go back to being a slave. But maybe we can help each other.
I'm paying attention.
All I ask is that you find the symbols of Lord Venerus's power. They were looted from his tomb by the people possessed by Venerus's enemies. Symbols will help me reinforce my followers' belief in me, lock them in their dream.
It seems you've only left me the one option if I want that data.
Please, just think a while about my offer. Be careful. Venerus's old enemies will put up a good fight. My network of spies reports that you crushed my enemies underfoot and found the symbols of power I requested.
We have a deal. I expect you to honor it.
I had not forgotten. I, too, have been very busy. Here is the data my servants collected before the temple transformed them. Let the Empire make of it what they will.
Enjoy your empire while it lasts.
Actually, that reminds me. There's one last itty-bitty little thing you can do. You see, power is useless without subjects. So, I'd be grateful when you turn in the data, you'd encourage the Imperials to send more expeditions my way.
You're really every bit as conniving as the real thing. You know that?
Yes. I do think I've finally found my true calling. I can assure you, my gratitude if you send more slaves to be my followers will not be insubstantial.
Aw, you shouldn't have.
Please use all products only as intended. Be well.
who sealed the chambers of the ancients, Keleth Ur's chamber especially. I'm terrified to think what would happen if Keleth Ur and his crazed ideas were to re-emerge.
I think his secrets are worth examining.
What? What's this? How could you? I want no part of this. Please destroy it. Bury it. Steal it away.
Getting a little nervous?
Clearly you don't understand. Throughout history, the light has endeavored to destroy the darkness. The Emperor was right to murder Keleth Ur for his heresy. Peace, serenity, words for the stifling of the very emotions that drive us.
Would it be wise to learn the teachings of our enemy?
No, that's not... Wait. Yes, I think I understand your reasoning. Fine. I will take the teachings of Keleth Ur and study them so that the darkness may prevail over the light. Now please leave. The temple is safe and I must take these teachings back to my chambers and make sure they're secure.
The only thing more powerful than the Dark Temple. Any luck getting that data?
Here's your data, as promised.
Hey, you actually came through. Can't say I was expecting that. Can't say it's not a relief. Now we can finally stop sending expeditions in there, wasting all those slaves who should be building monuments to the Empire.
Actually, I think data like this calls for more expeditions.
Had a look at it, did you? Well, it's not really my call to make, but I'll forward your recommendation to my superiors.
It's not a recommendation.
I'll make clear what you did for us. I think that'll carry a lot of weight. It's the best I can promise. Goodbye then, and thanks for the data. Your service to the Empire will not be forgotten.
Ready for departure. Enjoy your stay.
Sada Buha? Womi Topi.
And then I told him, "You think that's cold? You should see what I did to the Gamorrean. I never saw a Rhodian run so fast in my..." Oh, sorry, sweetie, didn't see you. What can I do for you?
We are here for the Great Hunt. We've been sponsored by Nemog.
An all-girls hunter team. Good for you. How long you two been partners?
Feels like Mako's always been there to back me up.
Fantastic. It's rare to see that kind of solidarity in this business, you know? You probably ain't gonna like what I'm about to tell you, but there's nothing I can do about it, understand? There's one spot left open in the Great Hunt, and over 36 hunters who got sponsorships.
Those other hunters can go home. That spot is mine.
It's yours if you can get it. Lots of folks will be thinking the same thing, though. The Huntmaster himself will explain how we're going to sort things out. Head into the main room and show some respect. When the Huntmaster's done talking, come on back in here. I'll be handling you from here on out.
Speak. Pay attention and show some respect for once in your lives. You heard the Huntmaster. You're competing for the last spot in the Great Hunt by taking down 3 bounties on Dромунд Каас.
You expect us to hunt here with Imperials crawling all over us? And Sith?
The jungles here are secluded and dark. We'll have all the privacy we need.
For all you overblown, useless, no-talent cowards, we installed a handy exit door. Use it now! The rest of you, the real hunters, go see your handlers. They'll get you oriented to the planet and assign you 3 unique bounties. Everyone who takes down all 3 of their bounties wins a spot in the final melee. Anyone who doesn't get all 3 is out.
Hunting on Dромунд Каас? That's suicide. I'm grabbing the first shuttle out of here. I suggest you do the same, friend.
Do I look like a coward to you?
Now you look like a kid with fire in her eyes. The kind who gets herself killed. I'm done here. May your quarry fall before you, Hunter.
Well, what are you standing around for? Back to your handler. That's Krista for you, new blood.
A dozen cowards just scurried out of here. Probably won't stop till Dромунд Каас is light years behind them. You understand the basics, right? 3 bounties, hardest targets on Dромунд Каас. Gotta get all 3 to qualify for the final melee.
This is the best job in the galaxy.
Ooh, I like you. You're even crazier than the rest of these hunters. Now let's see who your first target is. Whoa, this can't be right. You got enemies among the Mandalorians or something?
Just Taro Blood, the Mandalorian who killed Brayden. What'd he do?
It'll be fine. What are we dealing with here?
I wouldn't wish this bounty on anybody. Gotta play the hand you're dealt, though. The target's a Republic noble named Otaka. He got captured during an Imperial raid, brought back here, and sold into slavery by mistake.
Didn't think the Republic had an aristocracy.
Law of the galaxy. Anywhere somebody with a fancy name can step on somebody without one, they will.
Altaka's slave group was building a big old statue in the jungle. The slaves rebelled and took over the site. Nobody can get in. We don't even know if he's still alive. If he is, the family will pay big.
Easy jobs, boy.
You got confidence. I give you that. The slaves got themselves a tent camp near that statue. If Altaka's still living, probably somewhere near. Before you go, meet your new best friend. The S-86K full-gauge carbonite armor upgrade. You can't shoot a fella with this while he's springing around. It's too slow to charge up. But once that fella ain't resisting, say, after a good long beating, the S-86K frees him for transport.
I do love getting new toys.
Bet you'll have plenty of chances to play with that one. Find that Republic Noble fella and claim that first bounty, then hurry it on back here as fast as you can.